Hello, class. It's me, Professor Female. I'm here today to teach you about how women work. I am totally not some weird, chronically online guy spreading blatant misinformation. I'm totally a real female. Trademark. Here to teach you about how females work. Some of the facts today may surprise you, but I promise they are entirely scientifically correct. So just strap in and strap on and let's get on to the class, baby. Knowledge is power. Science!
Oh, look at that. That kind of fits me. I'm gonna take it off, though, because that is blocking the circulation to my brain. Just kidding. There was no circulation to begin with. Well, good evening. Ladies, lasses, and lasses, welcome to the click. You smell absolutely astounding today. And don't let anyone else tell you otherwise, especially you, Esmeralda. Oh yes, Esmeralda. I am mesmerized by Mesmeralda's Esmeralda smell Mesmeralda. So anyway, speaking of tongue twisters, today we're doing something absolutely beautiful apart from smelling Mesmeralda. We're gonna look at not how girls work, because there's one thing the internet has provided us. It's endless information. The only catch is it seems that 90% of the information out there is just blatantly false. So we're gonna dig through that together for a good little laugh, set the record straight, because if there's one thing we love to do here on the Clicky Thicky Wiki channel, it is pure science. And what better scientific method than to read memes and laugh about it? Enjoy. Mwah. Oh no, look at this poor girl getting scissored, not like that, but anyway, oh my god, it's because the parents are splitting up and they're... Wait a second, so they're walking apart, which means the girl won't be scissored. You know what I mean, okay? God, you know what I mean. Is this a mistake? Or is this like an anti-insane parents comic where it's like, it's better that they divorce than create like a toxic household for the little girl? This just seems like, I don't know, good women's anatomy, doesn't it? It's like, it's better to have two separate parents in a toxic household, I suppose. Like, maybe that's just good. Is this just a good comic? Hell yeah. Keep crying. No well-settled, rich, handsome man is going to marry you.
I consent.
I consent. Beautiful, young, happily married couple.
I don't.
Fat, 30-year-old unemployed hippo with a body count. Ah, yes, indeed, defeating the woke agenda in the marketplace of ideas. Better right into this AI image generator hippo Disney princess smiling at camera. That will show those women that think they can have a man. And also, like, don't diss hippos, man. Come on, like, Modeng is literally my screensaver. Hippos are a vibe, okay? Hippos are amazing. Anonymous, 1 hour ago. I hate how girls here get fat in the winter. Hibernation is for animals, not property. Okay, so am I the only one who caught the fact that they called women property? And also insinuated that, like, animals are not property, so animals have more rights than women? That's the wildest part of this post, and it's not even like the main focus. Bring back good fathers, blue hair fathers, teenage girls. I swear to God, man, it's so surreal when you have been like out in the real world for a week and you dive back into one of these kind of subreddits and you're like, man, people are just arguing the wildest stuff, isn't there? Oh my God. The biggest threat to democracy. Teenagers messing around with hair dye. I know that this probably plays on that old, like, 2016 stereotypical meme about, like, oh my god, look at these feminists with their blue hair and screaming and all that kind of stuff. But even in those, like, ancient memes, it was usually just adults and that kind of stuff arguing. I'm not entirely sure where fathers and teenage girls come into the picture here. You know, I think it just missed the demographic, even if we want to play on, like, the 2016 memes.
If a woman sleeps with 10 men, she's a sleut. But if a man does it, he is...
It's absolutely okay for a man to do that. Men and women aren't same.
Then it's okay for girls to sleep with as many men as she pleases.
No, women are meant to be more private than men naturally. Alright there, my dear sir. I must admit that I'm a little bit of a math nerd myself, and something strikes me as a little bit odd here. You want all the men to be like players and sleep with as many people as possible, and the girls should not be allowed to sleep with basically anyone until marriage.
Then who are the men sleeping with? Each other? Is this like an r/suddenly gay moment?
Yeah, I've slept with so many people this year. Oh my god, but none of the women have slept with anyone this year. You say that like it's a problem. Overheard. Being a woman is kinda like being a cyclist in a city where all the cars represent men. You're supposed to be able to share the road equally with cars, but that's not how it works. The roads are built for cars and you spend a great deal of physical and mental energy being defensive and trying not to get hurt. Some of the cars want to get you hurt. They think you don't have any place on the road at all. And if you do get hurt by a car, everyone makes excuses that it's your fault. Speaking of this sort of vibe, a little while ago I went down like a big rabbit hole on Reddit of people who were discussing like nude beaches and why the only people who are on nude beaches are like older men. And I think at the end of the thread they kind of came to the conclusion that like, yeah, because if you use like locker room logic, right? Younger men, they're like a bit more insecure about their bodies. Older men, they don't give a crap. They will just leave everything hanging and just go about their day. The women that go there, if they're in a minority, will inevitably be creeped on at some point, so they kind of just skedaddle when they see that the demographic is skewed to begin with. And at the end of the day, the only people left are like the older dudes who just let everything hang because they don't give a crap anymore. Sort of similar to cyclists in the road, I suppose. Some of the rabbit holes sometimes you tumble down in the online world are just glorious, aren't they? Men, we need to support the 4N movement. What is the 4N movement? Do not financially support any woman that voted for Kamala. No tips, etc. But how would you even know that? Do not provide any service to a woke woman. Jesus Christ, but people on Twitter are unhinged. They can change their own tires and roof their own house. Do not talk with woke women. Leave them to the sisterhood and their cats. Oh my god, are you seriously gonna go around and like interrogate the people serving you in restaurants and base your tip based off of that? I'm not gonna linger on this one for too long because I think we're all just tired of hearing about it after the past while, but I think there is something to be said when stuff has gone so far, when it's like this aggressive and petty with stuff like who you voted for. That has always been very alien to me, being so deeply rooted in your identity depending on who you voted for is kind of wild to me. Just do what the cringe 14-year-olds, like identify with at least like a singer or something, like dear god, politicians? Are you kidding me? That's so lame. Girls mature faster. You would mature faster too if you had to start fending off advances from grown men in middle school. But she should just be lucky she's getting this kind of attention. Women nowadays don't know how to appreciate a compliment. Bro, she's 11 and you called her hot. Okay? There is a compliment, and there is being an absolute unhinged weirdo, okay? You know, there's a little bit of a distinction between the two, right? I suppose they do mature faster in some ways, at least physically. I remember when I was like in middle school and all the girls was like one head taller than all the boys. That was like an interesting time to be alive, because if you were playing team sports or something, the team that had the girls on their team always won because they were twice the size of all of the dudes, and they would just tackle us to the floor. I mean, that changed, of course, later down the puberty, but it was like a very interesting period in your childhood for sure. Or being told you're a woman now at 11 when you got your period. No, I'm still a child, lol. Oh yeah, it's like those people coming on Twitter where it's like, nature doesn't lie. When you get your first period, you're a woman now. Aw man, calm down there, Mr. Game of Thrones. Jeez. I got mine younger than that. It was truly a terrible experience. What did happen to me at 11 was a random man, at least thrice my age, walked up to an innocent little me and telling me I would be prettier if I smiled. Ooh, like that compliment is usually like rancid enough on its own, but like imagine going up to people like going out of middle school, you know, in the middle of a school day and be like, you should try to smile. Jesus Christ, why are these people in society? Oh no, it's this lady again, dear God. 1.4 million American women do OnlyFans. 1.4, oh my God. 82 million American men buy OnlyFans. 82 Holy, that's like a quarter of America. I mean, now it makes sense when you see like all of the posts and stuff regarding how much some people that do this kind of content actually make in terms of money. If like a literal quarter of the population are actively paying for it. I mean, I knew it was a big business, but that number is surely mind-boggling, and that's just in the US alone. I think it's also important to remember that when you see stuff like this online, and I've seen bitterness regarding this kind of stuff from like multiple directions. I've seen, for example, young men who are content creators who get weirdly bitter at, for example, really popular OnlyFans girls. So like, oh my God, if I just had boobs, I would be a millionaire too. And I've seen this bitterness in the other direction too, when somebody's like, oh my God, if I was just like a little white boy, I would also be a famous Minecrafter. And the truth of the matter is that if you look at these kind of samples, you're looking at the top 0.0001% of either demographic. And if you're like, for example, a gaming channel, it's not like, an OnlyFans girl is gonna steal your audience or whatever. I suppose my point with this stuff is that I think people get way too invested into making arguments against like an entire demographic when it's only like a super, super, super tiny portion that actually does well doing this. It's more about class than it is about gender wars, okay? That's the baseline of the whole thing. Although it is kind of fascinating that this industry has gotten so big that like streamers on Twitch or, for example, OnlyFans peeps can make more money than like world famous professional athletes and stuff. That's it's an interesting shift in the economy, no? Oh my god. I remember one time I told a girl her rudeness wasn't attractive, and she said, "Genuine question, what makes you think I'm looking to attract you?" Oh, message sent me to sleep, bruv. I had a coworker who was very weirdly obsessed with my hair. Over and over and over, he would beg me to take it down. How much prettier I was that way. Ugh, 10,000 no's later, he was still trying, to the point of trying to rip my hair tie out of my hair or harassing me at formal events. Jesus Christ, man, what are you doing? Go back to the forest and live with your fellow feral creatures. He told me how rude I am and he's just trying to help me. Then he busted out the attractive line. I answered pretty much like this, except I said I don't want him to be. And he lost his goddamn mind about it. He called our boss to report me. Okay, so you've been harassing this girl in the office, and then you call HR and complain that she doesn't find you cute? Detailed out the whole damn thing, word for word. My boss called me next and was like, this dude just reported himself for sexual harassment. Her voice was just incredulous. He thought he was so absolutely in the right. He really thought I was going to get in trouble. Hey, I was sexually harassing this girl in the office, and she wasn't reciprocating. HR, can you do something about this, please? Oh, women these days. Disgusting.
You should be grateful for this kind of attention. Many women just wish I was going around in the office and randomly pulling their hair.
You see? Gratefulness and modesty. A girl I know is getting divorced because she made it very clear that she doesn't want to have kids, to the extent that it's in their marriage contract. Oh my god, then you know it's really set in stone. It's not just like a vague preference that may or may not change, although to be fair, if you really, really want kids, maybe that's a bad idea for a long-term relationship, but like, okay, then it's like really set in stone, right? It was their anniversary, and she asked him what he would like, a gift, and he said for her to change her mind about having kids. Damn, I know like the ace people in the audience just look at these sort of posts and be like, oh man, I'm so happy I'm not even interested in relationships. Ah, the true ace privilege.
If abortion is killing people, so is jerking off. Think of the people you're killing.
Sperm is not a baby. The woman's egg is. Stay in school.
Ironically said by the one person who obviously never attended a single day of school. My god, the online debate is evolving. Or like devolving, I suppose. But that sort of implies it was evolved to begin with. It's just been stagnant in like a pile of shit from the beginning, I think. Females be complaining about cramps, like men don't get them, and they don't even have periods.
What? Menstrual cramps aren't the same as a stomachache or something. Men don't get them like we do.
They do.
I don't think you know how the female body works.
Ah, yes, indeed. Nothing quite like sourcing basic biology from TikTok comments. Oh, I love this. A poverty-stricken family can't afford to send their twins to higher education. They asked the boy to become an apprentice to a village mechanic. They asked the girl to get married so her husband can take care of her. The girl will come and say, women are being oppressed. I mean, the fallacy in this kind of case is also always assuming the man is going to treat her right, and also the fact that she can't leave even if the relationship turns out to be really bad or turns sour or whatever. It's kind of the same reasoning as if you would say like, oh my god, a dictatorship is always the best political system, just, assuming the dictator is always like a wholesome little sweet bean, which doesn't really seem to be the case that often now, does it? The main issue here is he can take care of her. This is a fantasy. The reality is that women are more often than not taken care of. I mean, the stay-at-home housewife thing was a flash in the pan last century. Women have always worked to support their families all over the world. Where men get the idea that they're looking after us, I don't know. And also another interesting follow-up question, of course, is that at least in the current economy, can you as a man actually support an entire family with just your income alone? If you want a trad wife, do you actually have what it takes to be that trad husband that you glorify? I would say based on like salary statistics and like how much of house costs nowadays, I would say 99% don't. Like, my god, man. So even if you didn't want to argue like the morality or implications or anything of that kind of thinking, the pure economical aspects of this means that this kind of like trad family setup isn't even economically viable for like a vast majority of the population. So I don't really understand like this really strong push for it, because it doesn't really work in reality, not with how it looks currently.
Oh, funny, considering how many women are using abortion as birth control and getting teardrop tattoos.
Oh, like the teardrops like gang members do when they like kill people. That's what they do? Oh my god. Welcome to Planned Parenthood. Over here, we do like the abortion stuff, and in the next room we have the tattoo booth to get your teardrops. Oh man, reality is an alien concept.
And the ones you're talking about are what is known as outliers, which means very few and far between.
Using as birth control, getting a teardrop tattoo. What is Fox News feeding y'all? Man, what a business concept. Planned Parenthood and like a tattoo booth in the same building. Do these people even read back what they write? Like how it sounds before they post it? No?
Humans aren't meant to be monogamous.
So women should be allowed to cheat like men are.
Yes, indeed. That is bad. You see, men should be promiscuous, but women should not be promiscuous. But men are still magically finding partners to be promiscuous with, but it's not the women. Everyone should be gay.
That's like the end of this. You see, like they're always talking about wokeness and the gay agenda.
This is the real gay agenda. They're all undercover. Wake up, everyone. The people who are saying that women should be modest are actually gay agendas undercover.
I swear to God, that's gonna be picked up as an actual conspiracy in a couple of years. I'm calling it, okay? I'm calling it. Age like wine, here I come.
Real.
Your body, my choice.
You're smexy.
Your body, my choice.
Hello, human resources.
I'm gonna be honest, fam. I think that if you run a line like that, I don't think anyone is gonna respond particularly positively to it. Like in dating, there is the concept of follow rule 1 and 2, right? Be attractive, don't be unattractive, you know? Sometimes the difference between, for example, being harassy and not being harassy is if the other person is interested in you. But that goes for like anything. It goes for like relationships or friendships or what have you. If someone is interested in being your friend and you say, hey, should we hang out on Friday? And they say, yeah, sure, that sounds great. That isn't particularly harassy. But if it's someone that's told you repeatedly to leave you alone, you're like, hey, let's hang out Friday, it's gonna be harassy, you know? It's not like this weird conspiratorial thing specifically to dating. That goes for any kind of relationship in life. When it becomes a two-way street and not just harassy is when both people genuinely want to. So that's not particularly weird of a concept. But I don't know. I'm gonna go on a limb and say that this comic never happened. Keep brain-dead women alive and use them as surrogate mothers, suggest doctors. Ooh, look at that. Technological nightmares beyond my comprehension. A medical association apologizes after academic argued it could be a common way to bring new children into the world. Yeah, this sounds scary to be honest, because I know somewhere in a poor country they're gonna basically illegally farm brain-dead women's wombs if like that ever happens. Probably kinda like how during the mummy craze in Europe, people killed other people to make fake mummies for profits. Or like back in the witch hunting days as well, they had a literal bounty on witches. So what most people did, well, all if you wanna argue that case to be real, is that they just made up allegations. You know, like, I don't like my neighborhood Karen, I'm just gonna report her for being a witch, and she burns, and I'm gonna get some cash money for that. You know, it becomes like this self-fulfilling bias where people will do really awful shit just to get paid for it. It's an inherently really bad system. I didn't know the mummy thing happened. That is crazy. I was just thinking about the idea of them putting women into coma en masse to accomplish this. Or pretending people's comas is worse than it actually is for this purpose. Oh my god, that is so dark. Can you imagine that? Getting a corrupt doctor in the hospital and one of your loved ones is in a coma? That is completely curable, but then they're like, yeah, no, it's actually way worse, you know, we're just gonna use them for baby making now. And they purposefully keep them in a coma because they're being paid off by Big Baby. Oh my god. Yeah, that can get real dark real fast, man.
Is it just me, or is it weird Taylor Swift has no children, and is basically the most successful woman of our time and 33 years old? She's trans, and poisoning young girls to hate men. Her face does not look feminine to me. Something is off.
Wait, a 33-year-old woman is successful in what she does and doesn't have kids. So therefore they must be trans, and it's part of an agenda to poison young girls. Why did the internet give everyone a voice? I swear to God. I could unironically start a party tomorrow that's like anti-free speech or whatever, and I wouldn't even struggle making arguments for it because of people like this. That is a joke, by the way. That is a joke.
Why are men becoming increasingly uninterested in relationships and marriage? And deal was loyal virgin who obeys in return for lifelong protection and provision. Women aren't loyal. Women aren't virgins, and women don't listen. I don't think that's ever been, like, the norm, though. So women broke the deal. Give a man a loyal, obedient virgin and he will marry her the same day. Is this actually the dating advice they're putting out there for, like, young dudes? If you find a girl who happens to be a virgin and is also, like, a pushover, you just marry them the same day, like a la Vegas style? That's seriously dating advice? Oh my god. Men didn't change. Women did. I'm gonna be honest, man. As a adult... trademark. Okay, at least I can roleplay as an adult in this world. I know many fellow adults. Trademark. No one I know that is in, like, functional relationships or whatever ever listens to this kind of advice regarding relationships, okay? When a woman becomes a millionaire, they buy IKEA furniture and poo. Wait, if you're a millionaire, you buy IKEA? Like, don't get me wrong, I love me some IKEA stuff, but you don't have to be a millionaire to shop at IKEA, okay? When a man becomes a millionaire, they invest it in hopes to become a billionaire, and then they lose everything and post it on r/Wall Street Bets. Booyah! At least the woman has her gold-plated IKEA furniture. This post can't be real, right? This post can't be real. Like, for God's sakes, IKEA's whole business model is to have, like, affordable furniture. Like, Jesus Christ, dude. A Japanese lawmaker wants to ban marriage for women over 25 and remove their uteruses at 30. What? Japanese Conservative Party leader has sparked outrage with extreme proposals to address Japan's declining birth rate. Wait a second, you want to tackle decreasing birth rates by banning marriage and neutering a bunch of people? Alright. In a YouTube podcast, he suggested banning women from higher education after age 18, prohibiting marriage after 25, and enforcing forced hysterectomies for women over 30. These measures, he claimed, could pressure women to have children earlier and reverse Japan's demographic crisis. Or hear me out here, maybe a slightly less extreme option than, like, forcing surgeries on people at the age of 30. Maybe, like, you know, affordable housing, or like, you know, you get some support for babies and that kind of stuff. Parental leaves. No, that's not a better way to tackle it. Okay, yeah, hysterectomies, they got it. Japan's birth rate has been steadily dropping, with only 350,000 births recorded between January and June this year, a 5.7% decline from 2023. The nation is grappling with a shrinking population and aging society. I mean, that is true though. Like, it's gonna be a problem in a couple of decades because you have so many more old people compared to, like, the current working generation, and that is a real economical challenge. But dragging people off to do hysterectomies forcefully at the age of 30 certainly isn't gonna do anything to tackle that, for God's sake. His remark faced widespread backlash, man, I cannot imagine why, with many calling them misogynistic and oppressive. In response, he apologized, framing his comments as part of a science fiction scenario intended to spark debate. Well, it certainly sparked debate, but probably not a productive one. Not genuine policy suggestions. However, the damage was done, as critics continued to condemn his inflammatory rhetoric. I mean, this is obviously a very extreme, completely unhinged example, but I see similar arguments come out of this sort of debate about, like, aging demographics and lower birth rates and that kind of stuff, and it always seems so oppressive and forceful and, like, misogynistic, the stuff I see coming out of it that's supposed to fix it. What about just, I don't know, tackling the housing crisis? Actually endorsing it and making it easier to have families is probably gonna do more for the birth rate you're so concerned about compared to, like, I don't know, dragging people off to force surgeries on them when they're 30. Like, bruh. Maybe there is little simpler solutions to this, no? This guy in my personal finance class pointed at my water bottle and asked me,
why are girls always drinking that?
And I was like, water? He asked me why girls are always drinking water.
You're like a real Sigma. I only drink protein shakes, no water. The only thing coming out of my tap is protein shake.
I had a substitute teacher in bio, and he was walking up and down the rows making sure we were doing our work. And then he stopped by one girl's desk and asked, why do girls always have water bottle on their desk? And she was like, what? And he pointed out that 3 other girls' desks with water bottles on them. Men baffled by girls staying hydrated. Hashtag, what do you mean girls need water to survive?
No water, only protein shake. Water is for women and betas.
28 years old, liked you. Oh my god, we have some wholesome dating on our hands. I make more money than you, and I'm more fit than 95% of America. Oh man, this starts off great. I am a butthole. Man, at least he's self-aware. That is like one little gold star in the corner. If you have a guy best friend, swipe left. I don't keep friends that are women, and I have every ex blocked. I expect you to be on the same level. That means no guy friends and all exes blocked. This is a boundary, not an insecurity. If you feel attacked by this, check yourself. I keep my circle tighter than your butt. Wait, good luck getting in. Wait, good luck getting into the butt or getting into the circle? You've got to be something special, otherwise I won't let you peg me on a 3rd date. Dispensary manager. Okay, I'm all for like being upfront about being a butthole at least. That's like at least a bit honest, but maybe you should like, I don't know, spell your work title correctly on a dating app. That's probably a good idea. I do love the tight butt comment though, that it can be interpreted 2 ways. That's a good conversation starter. If that was the only thing in the profile, okay?
If naughty work is work, what is wrong with a male colleague asking his female subordinate for a BJ? Because according to the pro-naughty work industry, being coerced into giving a man a BJ is the same as making a spreadsheet.
I mean, there are people out there that are professional MMA fighters. That doesn't mean it's okay to go around and punch people on the street. Context, time, and place matters.
The outrage over this tweet proves my point that naughty work isn't like other forms of labor.
Well, most forms of labor aren't like other forms of labor. Like, dear God, if I am hired to do Excel spreadsheets, I'm not gonna go home to my boss's house and randomly take care of their baby, okay? I'm doing Excel sheets in his office. I'm not his nanny.
So when libfems use this argument to try and justify the trade, just know that they're being disingenuous and stupid.
So this guy is upset and trying to make this high IQ take about his female coworkers giving him BJs during office hours. Am I understanding this correctly? That is pretty intense. I mean, if you want to follow that logic, there's plenty of male sex workers as well. So I guess they should be able to ask you for the same kind of thing back then, I suppose. Or is that not how it works?
When will women realize that naughties is not about them enjoying it, it's about us pleasing him?
What? This is painful to read.
It's biology, my friend. It's not a matter of believing or liking it.
Damn, this is the pickiest pick-me that ever picked. Spoken like someone who's never made a woman orgasm.
There is no female orgasm.
Oh, this is probably someone role-playing as a woman, isn't it? Oh my god, I called it. Man, this is one for the dating profiles, isn't it? I have never made a woman do the It isn't real. Just that line, nothing else. You're gonna see the likes are just gonna come rolling in, baby. Me. Follow me, please. We're gonna have to perform a full cavity search. Her. But the detector didn't even. Me. Ma'am, it's just protocol. Oh, look at that. And she's like pulling her hair back and stuff. You see, the joke here is sexual harassment at the airport. Ooh, that's a funny punchline. Got her period during marathon. That must suck so bad.
That is not a period, it's diarrhea. It's pretty common in marathons.
I mean, that's also true, I suppose, but in this context, I'm pretty sure it isn't.
Because your brain is focusing on operate and set blood to your legs, and the butt, I don't know the medical term, becomes lower priority. Ah, yes, indeed. Your butt starts just flabbing like this. Because you're only operating your legs. You never use your butt muscles for running. So when it becomes this flabby, everything just leaks out.
Okay, no, but getting like an upset stomach is pretty common when doing like long marathons and that kind of stuff. But this person is a little bit out there with their other stuff. It is a period though. Period is not always light. My period looks almost like this every cycle. Ah, my boy, you were almost correct, but then you applied it in completely the wrong context and were a little bit too confident about it.
There are so many things I need to understand about Ken before I'm ready for a committed relationship.
Your confusion is not rational. You're a healthy female of breeding age.
This is something I would expect to see on r/Tinder. Hell yeah. The game of life. Choose your difficulty. Nightmare. Hardcore. Hard. Easy. Very easy. Creative mode. Okay, so is this like actually based on something or is it no? No, it's just ripped straight off of TikTok? Alright. Pretty privilege is definitely a thing. There are plenty of studies out there that prove that you're even more likely to like land job interviews if you are good looking. Or for example, nowadays in like the social media era, you're way more likely to get likes and attention on social media, which in turn is more likely to land you sponsorship and that kind of stuff. Like earnings, for example, and success in life and positive attention correlates very heavily with how good looking you are. Then of course it can also come with downsides. I know of people that are very good looking that have completely deleted social media and that kind of stuff because they got so fed up with like stalkers and that kind of thing. So it can definitely come with very sharp downsides too, but like for the most part, if you look at overall statistics in society, pretty privilege is very much a thing. Like damn, I remember back in the day, I had about a year when I was making content like way back in the days, like 10 years ago, and I had a pretty rough year. I was going through like a bit of a burnout, I wasn't particularly happy, I stopped working out for a bit because I was too busy with other stuff that I probably shouldn't have been focusing on as much. So I stopped taking care of myself as much, I looked worse. I didn't put on like a huge amount of weight or anything, but I didn't have the same kind of like day-to-day routines. I lost a lot of my fitness, I wasn't like grooming myself correctly, that kind of stuff. And the difference was staggering in the kind of attention I got like in the online world. You know, people would even comment on it, and I don't think it was in any mean kind of spirit, but it's like, oh my god, click really fell off, what, you know, those kind of comments, but regarding looks. Basically, it is astounding the kind of difference it actually makes. And you will hear very similar stories from people, for example, that have either gained or lost weight, or people that have dealt with, for example, skin issues that have either come back or disappeared or what have you, that the way society and people on average treat you is vastly different. It's like night and day. It's bonkers. And that is not particularly gender specific either. Like good looks correlate very heavily with a bunch of positive stuff. And like I said, on an individual level, you can still have bad experience with this kind of stuff. For example, I know people that have been stalked and have been relentlessly harassed because of their appearance, to the point that they completely delete any kind of social media and that kind of stuff. And it's important to recognize that individual experiences that are bad can still be true even though the overall statistic shows a positive, right? Two things can be true at the same time, and this is so important to remember in these kind of cases. But this little meme that someone made on TikTok is just monstrously false. No, get out of here.
3 minutes into naughties and boys be like,
did you come?
yeah, to the wrong house. Pass me my clothes, you weak pee-pee birch.
Bruh, female orgasm isn't even necessary for reproduction. If God doesn't care about you, what makes you think I do?
Holy shit. If God doesn't care about it, what makes you think I do? Man, this is one for the Tinder profiles. Real women? Real women can have babies. That is 99% of the world. 99% of the world are real women.
So, are infertile women not women then?
Is there such a thing as an infertile man? The answer may surprise you. It is no! Clown emoji. Science.
Why do women like cats so much? First, I know there are a lot of men that do have and like cats, but the amount of women that love cats is far bigger. That being said, I dated a couple of girls and almost all of them had cats. I didn't like them a bit. I had allergy, bites, scratches, and I couldn't do anything. Otherwise, they would be pissed off. I mean, if you're allergic, I don't expect you to be a big fan of cats, I'm gonna be honest. But if you're also constantly getting in actual fights with with animals, like, if it happens once or whatever, like, sure, one animal can be scared or poorly raised or what have you, or maybe it's sick, but if you keep getting in fights with, like, every single cat you meet, that is weird, man. Maybe you're the common denominator. No wonder why none of them I had a long relationship, since it would be impossible to live with them and the cats. But what surprised me most is how they prefer a cat than their boyfriend. So were you their boyfriend or just like a date who was also allergic and picking fights with their pets? Like, if I had to save my cat or you, I would save the cat. Or if my boyfriend don't like my cat, then it's his problem, he got to leave. How can someone be like that? It pisses me so much. Or, you know, it can simply be that you want a partner that likes animals. That has always been something that I value a lot, for example, in both friends and partners. How you vibe with animals is usually a pretty good tell of character. Then, of course, it can be different things around it. You know, maybe if you were attacked by a dog when you were a kid, you can be scared and uneasy around dogs, and that is not your fault. So, of course, everything comes with nuance, but in general, your attitude towards animals and that kind of stuff is typically like a thing I would imagine religion people want to align pretty well with when it comes to their partner.
So many men just don't seem to get that women are human beings. We have hopes and dreams. We have the same complexity of thoughts. We have vivid internal lives and can feel pain, sadness, and empathy. We're not NPCs or robots walking around trying to hurt every man in our path. I believe 99% of misogyny is caused by men who view us as inanimate objects.
Except none of that is true, is it? Young female culture is caking on makeup, shaking your butt for any boy that walks by, and crying that you have it so hard when you could easily get a guy to provide for you in 2 seconds. Girls are broken. Your statement is misleading. Females' brains don't work the same way. You might have an internal life, but it's not like a man's would be, when all you've known is hormones coursing through your brain. Like, because men don't have hormones, you might think you're so smart. But really, in the end of your mind is basically looking at guys saying, "Put a baby in me," and then trying to deny it because of feminism and saying it's bad to settle down. Also, in my experience, a lot of females don't feel empathy like men do. They just pretend to care, then leave you when it's convenient. They don't give a poo about anyone but themselves. Female friendships are a perfect example. All they do is backstab and fake niceness, while guys will actually stand up for each other and have a real bond.
Jesus Christ, man, you need to go outside and touch grass, I swear to God.
If you've been in this world, as much as I have, oh yes, indeed, you realize that bad beans aren't, like, particularly limited to one demographic, okay? I have met women who are backstabby and poopy. I have met men who are backstabby and poopy. I have met men who are violent or can't handle liquor. I have met women who are violent and can't handle liquor. The list goes on, okay? Bad people aren't limited to, like, a specific demographic or gender or whatever. Stop going down these kind of rabbit holes. You're listening to, like, cherry-picked stories and trying to paint entire demographics based off of them. And anyone could do that regarding any demographic. That's why it's not good to listen to it, okay? Go out into the real world and talk to people. That's way better.
Create a law prohibiting women from having breast reduction without their husband's consent, because from marriage they constitute one body and one flesh, and the husband is the head of the wife, as Christ is the head of the church. I will make a reduction, daggers. I'm bleeding out because my wife got breast reduction without my consent.
Oh, would the same work in the other direction? I guess not, because this little convenient Bible verse quoted is talking about the man as head of the household, or whatever. Yeah.
Put this on your Tinder profile. Woo!
Every man got cheated on. You either know or you don't.
Yeah, whatever you say, little weird Facebook post. The real source of science.
Men use cats for their usefulness. Women use cats as a proxy for not having babies. It's pretty pathetic when you get these fur baby women gushing about their pets, when all along they could have built a family, but bought into the strong, independent, blah 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 message that gets pushed everywhere. Single women over 30 with cats. I failed, but look at how many cats depend on me. Crazy eyes. If you're a virgin, just say that. I'ma be honest here, fam. I know a lot of people that have cats, okay, both men and women. I don't know a single one that have gotten a cat for, like, usefulness, okay? We don't live in Viking villages anymore where cats were necessary for, like, munching rats that would otherwise eat our winter stocks, okay? Most people just want a little fussball in their house, okay? That's it. It's not that complex. Well, laddies, lasses, and lassos, I do hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed having you hear you wonderful, beautiful beans, and I will see you again in the very near future. Take care. Mwah.